Hey everyone, hope you're well. This is CoinsKid, just another to Bitcoin. But the CoinsKid cruise, so it was many months ago when everyone was losing the mind and everything like that. I did relay to you, I think it was towards the end of the year, I said to you anticipate a correction, but at this point, you know, I do think that Bitcoin is on its way to 120k. Pay attention, okay? And it's got there in recent times. So I do anticipate we are looking at 156k in this market for Bitcoin. This is a target I've had for a very long time. Now we've hit the 1.272 at a correction, hit the 1414 at a correction, and right now I think we're gearing up for a run towards 1.618. So we've nailed all the moves on this channel for Bitcoin for anyone that's been paying attention. But these moves, you know, into these resistance points do anticipate a correction in the charts. Okay, so I'm looking at a potential target of 156k for Bitcoin relatively soon, but at that point I do think we are beginning to put in some kind of correction. I'm going to show you exactly what I'm looking at and a potential pattern that gives us a clue to that correction coming to the charts. Okay, and I think there's no exemption. You know, you will see the correction across the board. You know, and one of the key things I'm looking at obviously is the fact that Ethereum is pumping, it's doing really well, and obviously XRP putting in a final fifth wave to the upside as well. So please pay attention, you know, to the indicators that I create for yourselves, and obviously to, you know, the analysis that I drop every single day in the Discord and obviously in the YouTube as well. Now I've not got a crystal ball, I can't see into the future, I can't even guarantee this 156k will play out, but I think we're gearing up for that because of something I'm looking at in a key indicator I create for yourselves called the crystal ball. Okay, so we've come up, I think we traded down to around about 80k, didn't we? And then boom, you know, we hit the 120k target. It was an amazing trade, but right now I think we're going through a little correction, and I think we're going to come back out, and I think the 156k will be met because I'm looking at the perfect player for Bitcoin. Let me dive into the Bitcoin chart right now to see what we can see. Okay, Bitcoin's done really well for us, and one of the key things I look at is the data with yourselves. For example, if we take a look at the charts right now on the weekly time frame, we go back to this time frame here on logarithmic scale, and you can clearly see that Bitcoin came down in the anticipated ABC zigzag correction like this. Okay, like I said to you, I think this is an expanded flat correction, and what we're looking for in this leg to the downside, the last leg to the downside, was 5 waves to jump in, and we got that 1 ABC2, waterfall 3 ABC4, and then the final 5th wave down. And again, you know, basically the confluence was there because this support was lost by the 3rd wave here. Okay, so this support became resistance as anticipated, found it in a high level support, and then broke out again. Then this resistance became resistance, made a high level support, and then we broke out again. This resistance became the next floor, this resistance became the next floor, and right now we're looking at that resistance becoming the floor again. But I do think Bitcoin potentially here is running out of steam, because what we're looking at, just like the 1 2 3 4 5 we've counted to the downside all in, we're looking at 1 2 3 4 5. We're beginning to look overextended here for Bitcoin. We're beginning to push up into 5 wave territory for Bitcoin, and we all are equally beginning to look you know, the 1.618 Fibonacci being met, okay, which is a primary target I had from this bottom to the previous pivot high top. We was looking at these resistance levels being met, and have been absolutely snagged like a boss for anyone paying attention. There is a video in the channel, and it's pinned to my Twitter, called the 5 waves of death. Okay, go check it out, because at this point here I said to you, all we've got to see is a close above the bull market support. We got exactly that, and at that point I anticipate a massive move here for Bitcoin into the minimal target of 1.272 correction, the 1.14 correction, and the 1.618 correction. So I do think we could begin to be looking at trend exhaustion right there for Bitcoin, where we do begin to come back in like this. Okay, so I think the next leg up, we could begin to look at some kind of big correction coming into the markets for Bitcoin. So if I was looking at this, technically, is there a pattern here that's leading to this correction? Well, there is a possible trend line here. If you take a look, resistance, next leg up, we could push into this trend line once more, okay, and then begin some kind of correction that comes back down, and it would indicate we've got a bearish pattern here. It's called a rising wedge, where basically each point of resistance, okay, 3rd point resistance, we do tend to break down, and we've got 3 points of support where we lose that support. Okay, so we'll keep an eye on this, because you can clearly see, you know, we're beginning to compress here, aren't we? We're beginning to see this kind of compression, and we're getting really tight in a rising wedge, which is typically a bearish reversal pattern. The technical target for that pattern, if it does play out, will be the bottom of the wedge. That will be my primary target for you. If we do begin to see some kind of price action like this, where Bitcoin's come up, found support, found resistance, found support, finds resistance once more, breaks down, turns this into resistance, that would be my primary target for you for Bitcoin, around about 54k. And you can clearly see from this peak here, which is basically 1.618 fib, around about 156k, you're looking at around about 60% correction, and that would drag the entire crypto markets down with it. Okay, but obviously at that time frame, if we do get up there, I want to see what's kicking off with the data. We've got the characteristics at the top. Are we seeing alt season? Are we seeing the waterfall dominance? Are we seeing the dominant indicator flash sell and things like that? And what are we seeing in the crystal ball? So obviously at the time frame at the moment, I'm looking at a turnaround for Bitcoin. I think we're just holding this previous resistance to support. At that point, we start turnaround, and I think we could get to this trend line once more. But there is a potential rising wedge here where we're getting compressed. This thing is compressing right now, and then we should be looking at some kind of pullback into this zone here, which would lead to a whopping correction across the board for crypto. Okay, so I'll keep you updated as best I can, but so far so good. For anyone that's been paying attention to this crypto market and my updates on Bitcoin, we've nailed this. Okay, and the confluence is in. Every single time we hit a fib, we have a correction. Look, correction, which is what we're going through right now. So we're looking at the 1.618 fib being met for Bitcoin before a potential correction and a potential rising bearish channel. So what are the opportunities? Like I said to you, from this point, if Bitcoin right now goes from where it is to 156k roughly, you're looking at what? So let's take a look at that right now. We've dropped that in 156k. So roughly around about there. What we're looking at as a potential appreciation from here right now, we're looking at 37%. Well, if you take a look at the likes of, there's a coin here, Shiba Inu, we've got DOT as well. And the reason I'm looking at them is because on the macro, just like I relayed to you way back when in April on Ethereum, we're seeing these things under the water. But Ethereum was under the BMS by around about 60%, and equally it was presenting a buy signal, buy warning on the macro signal, which I relayed to you, and which is why I anticipated Ethereum to pump as well as it has done. Okay, now if we take a look at the weekly, this is where you want to look at the charts. Okay, a lot of people say chart nerd and things like that, but this is where we derive opportunity, because the index will tell us, take a look at the charts. It's given a buy warning, it's given a below neutral warning. The BMS, it's below that. This is where you see retracements, and this is where the greater opportunity is, because from this point, if Bitcoin gets to that 156k, you're looking at 37% appreciation. But right now, way back when Ethereum was in the floor, RSI was in the floor, MACD was below the zero line. So like I said to you, we've got all the beautiful indicators there telling us that Ethereum's a buy because of the data. So this is where you buy, not up here. Okay, you're taking on risk, which is what I relate to you. Beginners look overbought, you're overbought on the MACD, and equally for Bitcoin as well. So if you're looking for opportunity, you come down the list, you look at the macro, and you look at the BMS, and what we're looking for, just like we're looking for on Ethereum, we're looking for things that are bearish under their BMS and below neutral. And one of the coins straight away is Shiba Inu. So if we take a look at Shiba Inu, we zoom out to the weekly time frame, you can clearly see it's crabbing along, it's not doing nothing, then bolts. Okay, crabbing along, not doing nothing, then bolts. But it's under the zero line on the MACD, just like it is now. Okay, it's going along, it's not doing much. You're creating multiple bullish divergence on the weekly RSI. So this move that could come for this particular coin into this God candle backtest just there is going to be greater than Bitcoin. So from here right now, obviously it's risk, and I don't want to encourage you to take on risk, but it's 64% over Bitcoin's 37%, and this thing could keep going. Who knows? No one's got a crystal ball. So this is why this indicator that I've created for yourselves, the columns, macro signal and BMS, look at them as the opportunity. So again, we keep looking down the list. We're looking at this coin here, DOT, below neutral, bearish 2.6%. This is where the buying opportunities are in this market, not necessarily Bitcoin anymore. So we look on the weekly, it's going along, it's not doing much, but even these moves to the upside, these retracements are opportunity to make some money. So if we drop horizontal line in just there, it's got support, you've got your God candle backtest, you never backtested this resistance. So from here right now, you're creating this bullish divergence down here, you've got the MACD under the zero line, and right now if this thing just pops to the upside into this God candle backtest, what have we got? We've got a beautiful move for DOT of around about 62%. And obviously, if you look higher, there is another God candle backtest just there for DOT, where you got the support in February 2022. You broke down, never turned it to resistance. So if we retrace into that, it's 251%. So this is why for me at this point right now I'm buying altcoins, not necessarily Bitcoin, because I think the greater opportunity is in the data, in the retracements that potentially come in these coins. Now whether or not they break vertically and make all-time highs, time will tell, but I'm just looking at opportunities across the board. And what I do, I look at the macro signal and the BMS on CoinsKid.com, and I look at the charts, and then I relay this to the CoinsKid crew, and then when it happens, retrace. I think there was one recently on CTSI, COTS, that was around about 70% move. And it was just a God kind of backtest that I relayed to the CoinsKid crew. But what I'm looking at right now is a confidence of the fact that I think we're going to see a push up into September is a crystal ball. And this is one of the reasons why I remain bullish on Bitcoin and crypto is, Bitcoin's coming down, but the crystal ball is coming back up. And right now it's still coming up. So we've got these peaks and troughs. Look, we've got a drawdown just there. We've got another little drawdown just there, which is what we're going through right now. We come up, we go sideways, and we break out in September. Then we have a significant drawdown. So we could see 156k for Bitcoin by September, and then it could begin to break down. Who knows? No one's got a crystal ball. But equally, what I'm looking at is a liquidity dance. Like I said to you, this is still trending down. So for me, Bitcoin's still bullish. If we switch to all, what I'm looking for, if the liquidity dance starts to break to the upside and is trending up, you're going to be looking at Bitcoin trending down, okay? But at the moment, since that bottom just there in, I think it was late 2022, the liquidity dance has been trending down, where liquidity is coming back into the market and Bitcoin is still trending up. So we don't see, the liquidity dance trending up at the moment, which is obviously a telltale sign that liquidity has been withdrawn from the market, basically. And equally, the dummy indicator for yourselves, if we zoom out way back when, I think it was late last year, was looking at this that I created for yourselves. The blue line tagging the red line, it's not the time to be buying crypto, it's the time to be taking profits. And again, I'm looking at this because retail at the moment is just not here on these moves that are happening across the board. So you understand the update. I'm not overly bearish on Bitcoin. In time I will be, and I'll be looking for that correction. And obviously I'm a pattern trader. If it does begin to break down of a rising wedge, then I think we could be looking at buybacks at 54k for Bitcoin. Hope you understand the update. Stay up, stay tuned. Get yourself into the Discord for more regular updates. Take care everyone. Bye bye.